Hello and welcome to the Brodie Blueprint, the podcast designed to help college students and young professionals navigate their career paths. Each episode, we sit down with industry experts from finance, business, sports, education, and more to uncover their journeys, daily experiences, and lessons they've learned along the way. Whether you're exploring career options, looking for networking advice, or just curious about different industries, this is the place for you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hi everybody, welcome back to episode 15 of the Brodie Blueprint. Today I am joined by the strength and conditioning coach for women's soccer in the Spirit squad at the University of Nebraska, Mr. Hayden Jones. Hayden, welcome to the channel, sir. How are you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hayden has got a huge wealth of internships, a huge wealth of experience behind him, so he's going to be a really useful person to talk to. I'm really excited to have you on, really excited to learn some advice from you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's really cool to see a podcast like this.
Absolutely, I appreciate it, man. We'll dive right in. So you got your bachelor's degree and your master's degree both from Hastings College. Your bachelor's in kinesiology and exercise science. Your master's degree was then in physical education, training and coaching. Tell us a little bit about why you chose these programs at college, why you've gone down this path in the industry, and what college was like for you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I originally started in teaching completely, and I kind of realized that wasn't the route I wanted to go. So then it kind of turned into physical therapy, and I realized, I really didn't want to be. It's a very big like elderly population if you don't get into sports completely. So ended up in the strength and conditioning side, and just absolutely fell in love with it. I knew I wanted to help people and be in sports. Great way to put two and two together. And then, going into exercise science was easy choice. And then for the master's degree, it was more or less I got a grad assistant position, so I was able to coach and get school paid for. And at the time, that was the only master's like degree they had, so made that choice kind of easy for me. So.
Nice. So obviously, like we just spoke about briefly, you've had a lot of internships in the strength and conditioning performance world. What was it like sort of getting started in real world exercise science, real world performance as a college student?
Yeah, it was kind of a long journey. It was tough. I think total I've interned for probably almost 2 years unpaid at one point,
Wow.
just combined
Okay.
total. So that was tough. Those are all split up here and there, and then paid internships. I did about 6 months, and then really up and down. But then when you finally get that first job, it feels incredible. You kind of get to have a role where you get to focus on certain things and not have to do a lot of like the little minuscule tasks that you've been doing as an intern for a long time. But my first job wasn't the most glamorous. It was a strength coach for D2, and I was the only strength coach. So I had every team. So it was pretty much a 5 to 5 every day, with a team every hour, and I had like 1 hour a day for lunch, and that was it. Those were long days, but it was a fantastic opportunity to learn.
Obviously, the main internship that popped up and stood out to me was being at the University of Texas. That's a huge sports school, one of the biggest schools in the country. What was it like, first of all, getting that internship, and then was the experience valuable while you were there?
Yeah, so I talk about that one pretty often too. That was only like a summer internship too. But for me, I was very new to the strength and conditioning world. I didn't really understand like how it all worked yet. I think I'd only spent really a semester interning at Hastings, and our internship wasn't, or our intern or strength and conditioning department wasn't like huge at that time. It's very big now, but it wasn't huge at that time. We were the first two interns really. And I went down to Texas, and I didn't really know what to expect. It was football. And for me, I really shouldn't say this too much while I'm wearing Nebraska gear, but I'm a die-hard Longhorn fan. And like for me to go there, that was like the dream, right? Like I was getting to live out my childhood dream, get to work for the Longhorns unpaid, but still I get to be around football. And at the time I thought football was where I wanted to go.
Okay.
And I get down there, and man, it was intense. Like it's a whole
Really?
nother world. Oh yeah, 100%. And it's really cool because every day I leave work like, oh man, this is what I want to do. Or I'd be on the phone every day after I leave work because Austin traffic is nuts. It took me about 5 minutes to get to work because I'd leave so early. But on the way back, it'd take me about an hour to get home. Same drive. Crazy. Um,
Jeez.
but I'd call every day. I'd be like, oh, this is what I want to do. D1 football. This is it. And then the next day, I only want to work with small schools, not football, it was like up and down every day just based on
Yeah.
like how it was going. But I was very, very new to internships. I didn't really like take full advantage of it. And for
Okay.
me, I look back a lot on that. Like that was a huge learning opportunity that I really missed out on. But I learned a
Okay.
lot after it on like how I could have taken better advantage of it. And I think that's what led me to my Minnesota internship,
Mhm.
where I spent 14 months there unpaid.
That.
But because of what I did there, my relationships I built there, and the coaches who had an impact in the like pretty much the coaching tree I developed from there,
Okay.
I'm pretty much at where I'm at now because of that. So
Amazing. So obviously so your internship at Texas, obviously like a dream come true for you working around that program and working around Texas football. When you say you don't think you took advantage of it, was your work ethic not there? Was the program not set up right for you? Or what is it that makes you reflect on that opportunity like that?
yeah, I think football is just such an interesting sport when it comes to internships like that. I think a lot of those high institutions, you get a lot of guys who are trying to really make it in the football world, right? So like
Yeah.
I was by far the youngest guy, and I
Okay.
was at the time probably like 22, I think.
Okay.
And I mean, there's some guys who are like married and like just trying to get
Oh,
that job finally, and they're really working to
yeah.
get that D1 spot. So very diverse group of like age and who we were around. So that was very
Hmm.
interesting. But very intense. I mean, like you're going in like at the end of the day, you're there to help the coaches in any way and the players any way you can.
Yeah.
And at the end of they really don't care about you
Mm.
if you're not helping, and
Okay.
they don't need you at all.
Yeah.
Because what matters is the $1 million athletes that are coming through the weight room, especially at a place like Texas.
Mhm.
And this is way before NIL or anything like that. But so now it's like
Yeah.
even they're actually $1 million athletes.
Yeah. Gosh.
And so for me, it wasn't really like a work ethic thing. Like I worked like that was never a problem. It was
Hmm.
didn't understand like how to like ask questions, how to take advantage of like
Okay.
talking to coaches and getting that experience and taking advantage of having the people around me who I could learn from and grow from. And I was very new to strength and conditioning just in general, so I didn't understand a
Yeah.
lot of like the programming or things going on in the strength and conditioning world. I was still just
Right.
soaking it all in and just trying to do a lot. And I just look back and I would have done it so differently now,
Mhm.
so.
Interesting. I think that's something that comes with just like being comfortable and being older now as well. That looking back as a 22-year-old in this kind of intense environment, you maybe just weren't ready for it at the time.
Oh, 100%. Like
Yeah.
I would do it so different if I went back. And I
Really.
tell people that all the time is like, when you're in these like in these places, like don't be afraid to go ask questions. Don't be afraid to, you know, put yourself out there and have conversations. I like there's so
Mhm.
many good coaches that were there that I just didn't have conversations with.
Yeah.
I felt so intimidated, but it was like I just
Yeah.
needed to just get out of my comfort zone and go do it. So
That's an interesting point of view, man. Thanks for sharing that, Hayden. That's cool. So you went back to your other bits of experience on here. You had three at Hastings. So human performance intern, internship director, and grad assistant. What were these experiences like for you?
yeah, so it was actually kind of crazy. So we started as an intern. So me and my
Yeah.
buddy, we interned together because,
Okay.
he ended up going the PE route. That's kind of the way he wanted to go. He wanted to be a PE
Okay.
teacher. But for me, I like really enjoyed the weight room. So I was like, oh, I'll intern. So I was actually playing football and interning at the same time. So
Wow.
we had two like football lift groups. I'd lift in the
Mhm.
first one and then intern in the second one. And then
Uh,
I would intern any hour I had free during the day. I'd be in the weight room like interning for those teams and just helping or whatever I
yeah.
can. So it was great to be around, great experience, but it was also very, very eye opening and interesting because
Right.
I'm coaching a lot of the guys or like around the guys that I
Yeah.
also play with. So it's just a
Yeah.
dynamic of like, how do you not get respect, but how do I work to create that and respect and like
Mhm.
have them not just look at me as like just a guy on the team, but somebody who
Yeah.
actually can help them in this space that might not be their best space, but somewhere that I feel like I'm comfortable and confident in, and I can
Mhm.
help them in that way. So that was a very big learning curve for me. And then
Yeah.
um, I took that into a grad assistant where it's like, okay, now I've been going to school with all these guys. I've been going to
Mhm.
school with all these, girls, guys that I've been around and let's be real, like going out on the weekends with, right? And like I'm
Yeah.
going to the bars, going to house party, things like that. So then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, if I want to have any sort of respect or just like looking at me from a coach perspective and not, hey, this is a guy I like, this is a homie, I
Yeah,
had
yeah.
to really flip a switch, and it really was like a full 180. Like, I didn't really go to any of those bars anymore. I didn't really
Mhm.
like go to those house parties or anything like that. If anything, we had another GA that was with me. We'd go to
Okay.
like the old towny bar that nobody's going to except like the people who've been in the town for years, and they're all
Yeah,
like
yeah,
70 and 60. And that was about it. But not saying I'm like going to the bar all the time, but that's how we kind of
yeah,
changed
yeah.
it up, and
Of
it
course.
was a very big important thing because I wasn't they do see you differently if they see you on
Hmm.
things like that, and that was a
Hmm.
big thing, especially as athletes, if an athlete notices a weak spot, some are just gonna absolutely tear you apart, and they're gonna take advantage of it completely. So, and then when I got back from Texas, I really understood I really understood the opportunity that was of having an
Hmm.
internship like that. And I was like, I think we could do that here. And
Yeah.
like when I was an intern at Hastings, it was like, hey, just be around, There wasn't like a lot of
Okay.
learning or teaching or anything like that.
Hmm.
And the main reason was the guy who was in charge was new to it, and he was
Right.
really
Okay.
just trying to get things going and all this. And he was actually really new to the field too, so it was like a whole thing. So any help he could get was great. So, and he's very big on like mentoring people, and I
Okay.
I was very interested on like the mentoring strength and conditioning. So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, can
Yeah.
we combine these? It's like, okay, let's create great coaches and then great
Hmm.
strength and conditioning practitioners too. Not saying I
Hmm.
knew everything, right? Not even close, but
Yeah. Of
I
course.
think we could get people in here who are actually interested in this field and create our
Yeah.
own internship. So then it was
Yeah.
like, okay, kind of created our internship. And now it's like at Hastings, they have like 20 to 30 interns. So
Wow.
not everybody's interested fully in strength and conditioning. They might be like
Hmm.
PT or PE or anything like that.
Yeah.
But then it gets people around strength and conditioning and helping out in the weight room. And it's a constant thing now too, where it's like, hey, there's the human performance internship. And
Hmm.
it's really cool how far it has come. But that's
Sounds
kind of where that
amazing.
all
Yeah.
came from.
Yeah, there's a couple things in there I want to touch on. I've been in a situation where back when I was in Scotland, I coached a soccer team that I played on before. So that this whole idea of coaching your peers, I find quite interesting. What other changes did you make trying to overcome this, like, kind of? Because I always found it quite awkward because you're like you say, you're coaching your buddies that you used to laugh with, hang out with on the weekends. You talked about distancing yourself in terms of going to bars and going to house parties. What are the changes that you make in the gym while you were coaching them? Like, how else did you overcome that kind of just different environment?
Um, that's a great question. I think for me, it was I really had to make sure I knew what I was talking about and make
Okay.
sure that if I'm, bringing this up, I'm putting this in a workout, I had a
Hmm.
very good reason and I was able to have a very good conversation about it and not just be like, oh, we're
Sure.
doing this because this and that's why. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're doing this because of this. It's going to relate to your sport because of this and this
Yeah.
is how it's going to help you, and just being very adamant about asking questions about that and like if they have questions, creating that. And then it's also like creating those relationships too from a coaching perspective,
Hmm.
like, hey, especially as you get like freshmen or things like that, but even the
Yeah.
older
Yeah. Yeah.
people, just having conversations too, like, hey, I understand like this and that, how our relationship in the past. But
Hmm.
especially if they start like joking around with you and
Yeah.
stuff, you got to just have this hard conversation. Be like, hey, when we're in here, I got to take this serious. This
Hmm.
is kind of my job right now.
Yeah.
And I think that was tough too, because I had some like really, really good buddies. Whereas like,
Hmm.
hey, I kind of got to lock in for this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if they're your buddy, you can have those conversations. But
Yeah. Of course.
still just being able to, hold yourself at the standard every day. And that's the hard
Hmm.
part too, is like you have to create the standard and then hold it every single day. There can't be a day you take off or anything.
Yeah.
Because once you take that off, they're gonna be like, well, you were, joking with me the other day or kicking with me the other day.
Hmm.
And you gotta like just stay there every time. And it's tough. It's really tough. Especially when it's like people you've been around for 3 years
Yeah.
and things like that. So I don't know, it's
Do you think?
very interesting.
Do you think when you talk about there, like making sure you know your stuff and leading by example, do you think that's also trying to command a certain respect? Like you're no longer one of the mates. Like in this, when you come into this gym, like I'm your coach, it's a completely different environment. Is that kind of like that? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I feel like it kind of goes into the fact of like if you're around anybody where you're expecting them to help you or guide you or anything like that, and
Yeah.
they, don't you feel like they don't know what they're talking about, you're gonna be a little skeptical.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like if you go to the doctor and you're hearing him say some stuff and you're like, that definitely does not sound right. You're gonna be a little
Yeah.
nervous. He's the one that's supposed to be cutting into you or something. You're
Yeah.
gonna want like
Yeah.
a second opinion or you're gonna have second thoughts. So like as a coach, you really don't want that. You want to make
Hmm.
sure that you're creating a culture, you're creating not necessarily a persona, but you're giving off this energy that they can trust in you and they can believe in you, and that, you're an authentic and real person when it comes to that. And it's not like, oh, I'm this like big, tough guy and I gotta like have this
Yeah.
persona. It's like, hey, when you see me in here and you see me out of here, I'm gonna have the same energy and the same persona no matter
Mhm.
what, because that's just where I'm at. So like, even if
Mhm.
they did see me outside of the weight room, it's like, hey, I'm still going to be, I have to still be that coach,
Yeah.
figure now. You
Still
know,
holding yourself to that standard all the
yeah,
time, even outside the gym. Yeah.
exactly. If it's like me and a guy I've known for like 3 or 4 years, he comes,
Mhm.
over to the apartment just to kick it for like, a little bit, that can be something
Yeah.
different, but when I'm
Yeah.
walking
Yeah.
around the halls and things like that, and you have to just keep that always. And that's tough,
Mhm.
especially if you're a young practitioner getting into the field. I think it's different once you get into like where I'm at now, where it's like,
Mhm.
I came into here, I didn't know anybody, but like that
Yeah. Yeah.
transition, like you were talking about, that can be really tough.
Yeah, that's a cool, interesting point. It's not something we've touched on, so it's cool to hear that coming from someone who's done it as the kind of the starting steps of their career. So that's interesting. Another thing you touched on there, we've talked about in almost every episode we've had so far, is having a mentor figure and then being a mentor figure. I think that's something that sounds really, really important in what you've done in creating what sounds like an amazing internship program at Hastings. So touch on a little bit what your thoughts are on how important a mentor can be and what it's like being able to mentor, younger students as well.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I've had a couple of really great mentors. Number one was Brett Wells. He was my original director at Hastings and gave me my GA
Okay.
opportunity. So, forever grateful for him.
Mhm.
If I'm without him, I'm not here.
Okay.
And for him, he was a very big person on like mentoring like the human. He
Hmm.
changed it from like athletic performance to human performance. He was very big
Yeah.
on like human development and culture, and creating a strong environment that, when you come here, because let's be real, like I mean, like NAIA, it's very rare
Hmm.
you're an NAIA athlete that goes on to become a pro athlete.
Yeah.
It's tough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard world. And so it's like, okay, how can we help these kids, excel at their sport, excel at what they do, but also
Mhm.
prepare them for life?
Yeah.
And he was very, very big on that. And for me, I I look back and I wish I would have like taken it a little bit more, but I was very like, nah, I'm here to like be a strength coach and like I'm trying to make them the best athletes possible.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like stuck on like the strength and conditioning science side, but I was learning a ton. I was so just fascinated by it. But
Mhm.
it was very cool. And I look back at a lot of things he said, and he really challenged us and he made it really hard on us
Yeah. Yeah.
and really pushed us. But I'm forever grateful for that, because they went on where I got like the D2 job and I was the only guy. I felt way
Mhm.
more prepared because I was doing a lot of projects and I was doing stuff way before that
Yeah.
put a lot of stress on me. So I didn't feel like
Yeah.
a ton. Um, and then when I went on to Minnesota, I had another one, Corey Peterson. He's actually one of
Mhm.
my really good friends now. He was in my wedding. Great guy, but
Amazing.
he's the one that when I was in Minnesota, I just really wanted to learn under him, and I really wanted to continue to learn more about soccer
Mhm.
performance and training, and I kind of
Mhm.
really fell in love with the sport. And
Amazing.
from that moment on, I've been soccer ever since. But he was very big on like taking me under his wing, teaching me, allowing me to be a part of it, allowing me to
Mhm.
learn, fail,
Yeah.
ask questions, be a part of things. I was at
Yeah.
practice, I went to games, and like this is just an unpaid intern, but
Jeez.
for me, it's always been like I've always had great opportunities and great learning experiences, and I really want to help others get to that point too,
Yeah.
where it's like I think truly this field is hard, and it's really hard to get to different positions, and you have to really enjoy it, because it's very rare to come in here and just make crazy amount of money too, unless
Right.
you're like
Okay.
doing football, you're not making bank. So you have to really love and enjoy it. So if I find people who really do, want to be in this,
Mhm.
I like to invest and I like to help them with it, learning, kind of
Yeah.
go through and like try to avoid a lot of the things that, the roadblocks I hit, or like
Yeah.
all the things I look back on and wish I had done. And I try to
Mhm.
like get those out there in front. Because I think that's crazy helpful. And if we're not helping them and they're interns, I think that does us a disservice too, because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's like word of mouth, like, hey, I interned here, they were great, you should go check it out. And the more interns you
Mhm.
can get that are better, the more it just helps your program, because it makes things on us easier, especially in the summer. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it gets really busy, we have stuff going on, and then fall, spring, whatever, the better your interns and the more better interns you have, the easier
Mhm.
it can make things on you. So I
Mhm.
think, just creating the strong intern, like almost network, it becomes like a
Yeah. Yeah.
tree. So just trying to like really grow that. But yeah, I've always just really had a big passion for like the internship stuff because I think it's fascinating, just like to help people learn
Yeah.
and like to teach. And I've just been so lucky to have like really good people to learn from. And you just
Yeah.
want to keep passing that on. So,
What's some examples or times that you've had now that you've grown in career where you've had interns yourself and now you are the mentor? What's some things you've learned about yourself or learned about this whole kind of dynamic from the other side? What's that been like for you?
yeah, I think it's been interesting in a way of like sometimes I have to remind myself that uh, you gotta have like a little bit of like patience.
Okay.
Not everybody is the same intern I was.
Hmm.
And I don't think I was like the best intern ever. I don't want that to sound like that, but I was very lucky to when I was at Minnesota my first summer, I was
Yeah.
around a phenomenal group of guys. And
Okay.
this was back in I think like 20 I want to say 2018, 2019,
Okay.
2019. That to this day, we talk every day still. We have a group
Wow.
chat, and I would say we talk every single day about something, at least once,
Amazing.
right? And
Amazing.
it's a group of 5 guys, and just truly blessed. And they really kind of helped push me and guide me. And
Hmm.
like the hunger to learn and get better was
Hmm.
absolutely fueled by being around them. We would
Amazing.
just be there all day, and we would be, talking about strength and conditioning, things we saw, hey, I'm reading about this, I'm learning this, and then we just keep passing it around. And it was just
Yeah.
constant of like getting better. It was really, really cool. And I think
Amazing.
from that moment on, it's like, okay, like I really, really enjoy this and I love this. And I want that feeling. I want that feeling in every intern we get for sure, but it's
Mhm.
not always there.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I have to remind myself that because like sometimes I'll get like a little impatient. I'll be like, hey, like you're here. Why aren't you like trying to do everything you can to be the absolute
Yeah.
best?
Yeah.
And sometimes I gotta like slow down and just be like, hey, everybody goes at like their own pace. When I was at
Hmm.
Texas, I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
So I probably would have not liked me as an intern at Texas. You
Yeah.
know, I wasn't like terrible, but I wasn't out there like trying to just be hungry.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a little humble reminder there.
It's funny.
So I think that's kind of like something there. So
Yeah, of course. That's cool. So you've touched on throughout the podcast so far your internship in Minnesota. After then, so you were a coaching assistant at Weber, which we touched on earlier, just the two of us. You've been a director of athletic performance at Newman, strength and conditioning coach now at the University of Nebraska. What's these roles been like as kind of your first sort of full-time roles? What have you enjoyed in your career so far?
yeah, I'll say the Newman one was hard, really
Really?
hard.
Okay.
I I say it all the time. It was it was a small weight room, long
Okay.
long days. Really, you have to really enjoy this to like take those jobs. And it's
Hmm.
really sad because those jobs should be making way more money. They should have
Yeah.
way more support, and it just gets a lot of it just gets looked at as like, oh, hey, strength and conditioning is important. All the coaches love it, but then it comes down to actually like taking care of the strength coach and all the like equipment and stuff. It's like, oh, it's not that important. So
Yeah.
that can be frustrating.
Hmm.
But the thing I got from there though was I learned a ton about talking to coaches, having
Okay.
conversations, and being able to, lack of a better terms, deal with different
Hmm.
types of coaches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody wants their sport to be the number one and be the most important, and we need this time. And so I'm navigating a weight room where I have 6 racks, and I
Gosh.
gotta get every team in there.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like having those hard conversations, but you know, push, pull, things like that. But it really helped me grow on that side. And like,
Mhm.
I had a tiny, tiny budget. It's like, okay, what can I
Gosh.
get? How can I expand this? What can I do to help get my budget bigger? And so I
Yeah.
learned a ton from that side. Um, and then here, the best thing I love about being here is like I really have gotten the chance to, going from what like 16 teams to 2 teams,
Hmm.
and
Big difference.
with the Spirit Squad, a phenomenal group. And the best thing, they're a great, great group of kids. I don't have a major time commitment to them.
Okay.
They come in 2 hours a week, and
Yep.
that's about it. They don't need like for soccer, like GPS or
Yeah.
speed and agility, things like that. So
Yeah.
it's a very easy group to work with on the side, but
Mhm.
a phenomenal group. They come with great energy. They're very grateful to like be there.
Mhm.
And to me, that's awesome because on the other side, soccer takes about like 95 to 99% of my time.
I bet.
Where,
Yeah.
I'm at practice games. I'm doing like the data, I'm traveling. We
Mhm.
have workouts, rehabs, all this stuff, and it's constant. But the best, I've just really enjoyed it because I can like dive into it. I get
Yeah.
to learn so much, and I'm getting to like actually get back and like fall in love with like strength and conditioning again. Where like at
Yes.
Newman, it was kind of like falling out of love with it because I wasn't learning about it. I wasn't doing it. It was
Mhm.
just like so much of the other stuff. Where
Yeah.
now it's like, okay, I get to focus on like developing as a strength and conditioning professional
Yeah.
while learning more about soccer, while learning more about what's needed to be a professional in soccer and all this. And it's been
Amazing.
phenomenal. I think that's been the absolute best part about getting here is I get to truly dive in and invest in my athletes more too. And I think that's the important thing is I get to
Amazing.
invest in them and give them more, individualization, give them more of like the
Mhm.
things that they directly need, and not just some generic program because I got
Yeah.
15 other teams I got to think about
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. I think it's amazing what you're doing now as well, because I'll be completely honest, I'm the opposite of what's happened to you here. I came over to America playing soccer. I played soccer my whole life, and now I'm a huge football fan. I'm a huge American football fan. You've played football the whole time. You've loved obviously American football. Now you're engulfed in soccer, working in soccer, loving
Yeah.
being in soccer. I play in the NAIA where strength and conditioning isn't huge. Again, like you said, GPSs aren't a thing. The recovery isn't really a thing. So I always used to love watching kind of day in the life of D1 soccer players, day in the life of D1 soccer coaches. Take us through what you do with this soccer team, and it's a week, if it's a day, however you want to describe it, whether it's a match day or an off day. Talk us through what it is
Yeah.
you're doing with this team just now.
Yeah. Do you want to do summer or you want to do like fall in season?
Let's go with fall in season. Let's go
Fall
with
in season?
in
Yeah.
season.
So
Yeah, yeah,
like a regular like lift practice day. So Mondays we have
yeah.
off, so we'll go Tuesday. We actually lift in the morning.
Okay.
So we'll lift at about 7 o'clock. We
Hmm.
get our lift in. It's a short. I keep our in-season lift short. It's about 20, 30
Okay.
minutes.
Nice.
We get in, we get out, and then we go straight to practice. So we practice in the mornings, which is really nice, about like 10 o'clock. We'll go
Nice.
about 10 to 12, depending. Really don't, as we get more in the season, they get a lot shorter.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so we'll do that. So for me, I'm in early. On Tuesday, I have cheer and dance at 6.
Okay.
So I usually get in about like 4, and I'll do a lot of my work from like 4 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Wow.
I like getting it done in the morning because nobody's there to distract me at all, and
Okay.
it's great.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, and the way I have our workout set up is they come in, their pre warm up stuff is already, we use a app, and so their pre
Okay.
warm up stuff's on there, and then they have a warm up on there, so they do the warm up on their own, and then
Okay.
we go straight to the workout. So cheer and dance at 6, and then once I'm done with that, I'll have soccer start rolling in. It's about 7, 7:30 or 8,
Yeah.
depending on the day. And so we have that. And then once we're done there, I go over to soccer practice. They'll
Mhm.
have some pre-practice things that I have them do
Yeah.
at the soccer field. We go out to practice. I'll run the warm up, and then if we're doing any sort of speed or agility type work,
Hmm.
usually on that Tuesday we'll probably be doing sprints.
Okay.
After that, I will be at practice, and if I don't have any rehab type stuff, I'll be running the GPS. So we run our
Awesome.
GPS for all of our athletes, just making sure that uh, our we look at a lot of player load and
Okay.
some different things in there, but just kind of make sure every athlete is getting what they need and not overdoing, not underdoing it.
Okay.
Kind of the easy way to explain that. And
Yeah, yeah.
then as we go through practice, we'll have anything from there. I'll kind of be just, I like to walk around. I don't really like to just stay on the side. I like to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like walking around the drills. The tough
Mhm.
thing about like NCAA is you can't like be a part. I'd love to just like get in there if I could,
Yeah,
but
jump
I'm
in a
just like,
session. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just like walking around, just trying to be around like goalkeepers and
Nice.
anything else like that. And it's also like I can, my coach is great where he allows me to kind of, hey coach, these two in here, usually in this drill are like super low. If we could have
Yeah,
them
yeah.
move a little bit, he'll be like, yeah, and he'll kind of go do that. Or it's like, hey, we
Okay.
just need to watch her. She's starting to get a
Mhm.
little high and things like that. So we'll do that through practice. And then after that, I'll most likely have, if I have any rehabs, that's when I'll have all my rehabs,
Mhm.
different, ankle, knee, whatever we have going on. And
Yeah.
then after that is when I'll usually get any extra work, meetings, or anything like that done or planning going forward. And then that's about it for the day there. So not bad for like a day like that. So
Yeah, sounds cool. So you do this on the training days. You're obviously really heavily involved. When it comes to a Friday, for example, you guys are playing on a Saturday. Is the coach involving you in the conversations when he's making his team selection? Say, wanting to hear what you think about players, physical capabilities and how they're doing through the week.
yeah, so we actually play Thursday, Sunday.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so
Cool.
that would be like a Saturday for us.
Yeah.
And not really. Because
Okay.
I send like we have conversations every day. So I'll meet
Yeah.
with my coach. We meet weekly on like our Mondays, and then I'll talk to him every single day about, hey, this is something going on with her,
Yeah.
whatever. And then I also send our data report every single day. So I'll have stuff
Okay.
written in there too. So
Okay.
he sees everything. We're in constant communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it gets very like steady of like, hey, this is our starting 11, unless
Yeah.
something, play isn't great or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
As long as like everything's going smooth, very rarely am I going to be like, hey, we need to watch her minutes or anything like
Yeah.
that. Cause that's
Okay.
something we can look at adjusting as we go through the week in practice. Cause ultimately, like
Okay.
in practice throughout the week, it's more just preparing for the next game. Like you're not going to
Mm-hmm.
get better at soccer in the 2 days leading up to a game,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, let's adjust her there, make sure she's ready. Because the most important thing isn't the practice or my lifts or anything like that. The most important thing is going to
Mm-hmm.
be playing games. So
Yeah.
that's where we can adjust. And then that's kind of where I come in. It's like, he'll be like, okay, what's a recommended load? And
Yeah.
then that's where I'll fit in for that. So that's kind of how
Okay.
I would fit in for those.
So, would you say another way to describe what you're doing during the week is you're managing their workload so that when the next game comes around, they're as prepared as they can be, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That's
Cool.
the goal. Does it
Yeah.
work?
Yeah.
Not sure. I think so. But for us
Hopefully,
it's working.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
Good.
yeah, that's kind of the role.
And then when it comes to a game day, are you involved in any of their pre-warm up stuff again, or is this down just to the coaches when it comes to game day?
Yeah, so game day I'll run them through like a quick little warm up.
Okay.
I stole this philosophy from Corey, my mentor, but
Yeah. Yeah.
on game day, your heart rate's already going a little bit more. So
Hmm.
like warm up for me is a lot shorter. It's
Okay.
a little bit more intense. We get going right away. I have them do a whole pre-section before. So in
Okay.
in our like building, they have a whole thing of like glutes and like movement patterns and
Yeah.
things like that. And then
Yeah.
when they come out to the field, it's like, okay, hey, we're going to go through, shorten warm up, things like that. And then they
Mhm.
proceed through their soccer warm up. So they're
Okay.
constantly getting warmed up. I don't want to spend a ton of time and
Yeah.
a ton of, load on their feet when I know they're about to get some through the rest of the warm up.
Hmm.
So for me, it's just like, I'm kind of like the, primer to get them going.
Yeah. Cool. No, that's cool, man. So obviously that was in season. That's the fall while they're in season. When it comes to spring and summer off season time, what are your days like then? How different are they?
Yeah. I mean, right now it's a little crazy. So our
Okay.
summer training, so it's all optional for us,
Okay.
and really blessed that the culture of our team is like, it's really strong, and I think we have about 22 girls here right now, which
Wow.
is incredible for summer
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
So we train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
And really worked with them to kind of help set their schedule of like every day we're going to do speed and agility, every day we're going to lift, every day we're going to do fitness, and then
Yeah.
every day there's going to be a soccer component that the captains will lead, and
Oh,
trying
nice.
to help
Okay.
them like set that up. And then Wednesdays they just scrimmage, so then they get
Okay.
a lot more soccer work.
Hmm.
And so to like today, we can go through today. 6:30 is the first group. We went out to the field, we did agility, we came back
Okay.
in, and it's our strength day, so it's a little bit longer of a lift. And I think we 6:30, so we're about like 7:15 going in there, and
Okay.
we lifted for about an hour and 15 minutes. So we were done about
Damn.
8:30. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we got done, we went out to the field, we ran, and it's our tempo day, so it wasn't like crazy intense, but it was more extensive. And
Okay.
so we were out there for about another like 45 minutes. And
Wow.
I in between the two of those, I give them like a good 10 to 15 minutes to kind of,
Hmm.
catch their breath, get a little
Yeah.
snack. We're lucky we have like a little nutrition station next to us, so they'll
Nice.
go up there, they'll get some water, fill their water, get some Gatorade. They'll make some like electrolyte slushies for us if they want to grab one of those.
Nice.
Get some food, whatever. So I give them some time to do that, and then we go run. So after that, we got done about, I think it was like 9:30. Then
Okay.
I had a rehab, and then the rehab. We did some work in the weight room, and then we went out to the field also. We spent about 45 minutes out there. So then I think I got done around 11:30. Come back in. I had two girls who had to leave for class during the lift.
Okay.
So they didn't do the run. So they came back in, and then so they warmed up. We went out there to do the run. I think I was done about like 1:50. Oh, we got done at 1:30. I remember because lunch had closed. So we got done at 1:30, and then after that it was okay. Now, once I'm done at 1:30, I need to go have a meeting with my athletic trainer, and then I went and had a meeting with my boss, and I came back. And yeah, so I think,
Amazing.
and then I probably would have been there for probably a couple more hours if we hadn't scheduled this. So this is good because then it gets me home because I'm the kind of person where like once I get working on something, like I'll be so focused, I'll realize, oh, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. So yeah, it's crazy because like summer's like, oh, it's time off, and like for me it gets so much busier for me because we have freshmen coming in, so it's like, okay, we need to set up testing for our freshmen. We run them through like a decent battery, and then we have the implementing them in, and then it's kind of like piecing the puzzles here. But for us, it's like this is a huge time because this is our best time to develop and get ready for the season. Because technically, we only get a week before our first game, so it's like if we truly just waited till they got here, I mean, we'd be spending the first like 3 weeks of season trying to get ready. So
do you guys not have like a larger preseason? I always remember before our season started, we had 3 or 4 weeks before the season got going. So how come you guys come in a week after that you're playing your first games?
Yeah, so they're exhibition games technically, right? So you're allowed a certain amount of exhibition games. So by NCAA rules, soccer is only allowed to start. I think it's like 7 days or something. Or it's like 14 days, but you're allowed 2 exhibition games, something like that. So like 2 weeks technically, right? But you have to fit those games in there because you don't want your first game to be your first game,
No.
So you don't get a ton of time. And the crazy thing is like you have sports like football and men's and women's basketball who have mandatory all summer.
Right. Okay.
And football makes sense, right? But men's and women's basketball don't start till the winter. And it's just crazy that they can have mandatory stuff throughout the summer. And for a sport like ours, it's an intense sport where it's a high injury sport. To like not allow us to make that mandatory, which they're gonna move it back. So I think next year it gets pushed back, I think a week or two. So which is helpful. But it's interesting.
At least it's going the right direction. That's funny though. They're giving you guys 2 weeks to prepare just now. That's strange. It's funny as well what you're saying, Hayden, because the way you're describing this summer program sounds amazing as a former soccer player, I suppose. The summer for me was always the worst part of being a soccer player because I used to take 2 months off, go back to preseason, and think it was the worst 2 weeks of my entire life. So I think it's so. When you have these guys coming in over summer, what's your goals? Is it building strength? Is it building fitness? Is it just maintaining what you guys have worked on for the year?
Yeah, so my philosophy's kind of changed. So in the past, it's been more along the lines of like, hey, this is our time to get strong, build strength.
Yeah.
And we've been doing that, and a lot of our testing has really shown that we're a really strong team. And so there's kind of a point where like you can only have so much strength, and at that point it's like a point of diminishing returns, right? You're not really going to get much out of it as you get stronger, especially for a soccer player, because ultimately, like, they're not here to be weightlifters; they're here to be soccer players. So it's like, okay, can we utilize your strength and turn it into more power speed? Okay. So we're kind of changing how we do the summer, where we still have some strength days, but the emphasis is on sprinting, moving fast, being powerful, and really trying to just get as fast as we can and as powerful as we can, and just dosing our strength here and there. So freshmen kind of will work more towards the strength, especially in the where we test them in those aspects that they lack in. We have a lot of data that we can set norms for, so we know where we want to get them. So we'll get them there, and then we'll kind of develop them so they're on a little bit different. But as we proceed, like a lot of our returners, all of our returners are on programs where it's they're putting in like pretty much just speed and power work, and they'll have little doses of strength, right? Like our strength day today. But it's crazy. It's very different than what it used to be. A lot of my, like, even my conditioning, I used to have days where it's like, hey, this is just a conditioning, we're not even going to lift, we're just going to run. And that was like 45 minute hour long running session with speed agility, so like add another half hour. And like I look back, I'm like, I don't think we need to do that. Like I think we could just get really intense and good work or really extensive work, but like we don't have to do a full hour of it, you know? So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that's changed as it's evolved, but there's more or less just the athletes I'm around too. It's like they don't need to really develop in the strength side as we've been working on that. So
amazing, man. Hey, look, I could sit and pick your brains about the conditioning behind soccer for hours. So just for the sake of time, I'm going to draw us on to what our final little segment is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your insight and all the stuff that you brought up has been amazing. So thank you very much. But please draw on all of it and leave us with your 1 or 2 top bits of advice for either young students starting out, young athletes, or any other general advice that you've got, man.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things for like interns and or like anything like that, especially getting into the any sort of internship. I think number one, this is something I'll tell everybody is don't be a cone, and like everybody knows like either in sports or like the road cones, like their whole purpose is just to stand there and be there and just be an object, right? And as an intern, you don't want to be that. And I think it's something where it's like you need to be active, you need to be moving, asking questions, be around, and strength and conditioning. A lot of times we tell our interns like, hey, the first couple of weeks, we don't want you coaching because one, we don't know you. We don't know like if you're a good coach, if you know what you're talking about, things like that. But a lot of times they take that as, okay, I'm just going to stand in the corner and do nothing. Right. Okay. But the interns who do the best are the ones who just get around, they go switch weights for the athletes, they're getting up, they're getting down there. If you ask them to do something, they're running over, things like that, just be involved as you can at whatever point you are in your internship. Just don't be a cone. And I think also with that, trying to think, when you ask questions with a purpose. A lot of times people are just asking questions just to know the answer. I really find that it's very easy to see when somebody's asking a question that they truly either are one, just asking it because they feel like they need to ask a question, or two, they have no idea about anything about it. And even when you tell them the answer, they're like, just, oh, for sure. And then they don't ask any questions after it. The best like conversation starters and like questions that are asked are ones where you're asking a question with already having sort of a thought or an answer in your head, where it's like, hey, why do you do this? And I think it's because of this or this, but I'm truly curious on your vision or why you do it. And you could be completely wrong, but to me it shows that you actually put some thought into it and not just like, hey, I'm just going to ask this question because they told me we need to ask questions and talk to the coaches. But like, I just want to know you actually care about it, and not something where people have come and asked, because there's a lot of like philosophies of strength and conditioning, and they come and ask questions about like, hey, this philosophy or this. I was like, yeah, hey, go look this up. Here's the 2 things you need to look up. Here's the people to look up. Here's the exact thing to look up. And then come back and let's have a conversation. Sometimes they come back and we have great conversations. Sometimes they don't even bring it up or come back at all. And it's like, okay, well, I truly see how much you actually cared about that and wanted to learn more. So like for me, it's kind of like an investment test, like I want to know how invested or how much you actually care about this. So 100%. Yeah, I think those are the 2 big things.
Amazing, man. That's amazing advice, amazing insight. Thank you very much for all your knowledge today. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really appreciate this. This is a great podcast. I'm really excited to see where you go with this.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Guys, we'll have new episodes every Wednesday. Any other updates, always on TikTok and Instagram. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you again. Well, that's all for today, folks. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and were also able to gain some valuable insight into a potential career. Please head over to Instagram and TikTok and follow us. That's the Brodie Blueprint. And also don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube as well. If you guys have any guests that you want to see on the podcast or any industries that you want to see guests appear from, please let us know. Until next time, guys. See you later.